right? This is a really bizarre one, right? It is Pearl the Assassin. Now, the film is directed by Guy Patton, who wrote the screenplay and came up with the story with Dana Patton. I don't know if it's husband wife, father daughter, but yeah, that's what it is. The film is produced by Dana Patton, um, John DeMeo, John Kingman. It is executive produced by Guy Patton. Meg Kettle is on cinematography. John Kingman edits the piece. Right, hair and makeup, we have Blaine Neesey. John Kingman did the visual effects. We don't have the stunt coordinator, but yeah. So Pearl is played by Dana Patton. We have her friend Daniel, the priest, played by Jeff Kim. There is Trey, played by Justin Brown. We've got Jamal, played by Marcus Bishop Wright. Charlie, played by Eric Dutroux. K-Dog, played by Paul Davey. Carl, played by Michael Dexter. John Z, played by Eric Dyes. There's CSI Trunks, played by Jonathan Fernandez. Jody, that was Trey's girlfriend we see at the beginning, played by Bridget Fitzgerald. Tracy, played by Lolita Foster. Charlie is played by Richard Hobday. Michelle, played by Betty Kaplan. We have Sean, played by Damian Lee. Warren Lee is plays one of Trey's henchmen. Louise is played by Geo Marsh. Casey, played by Olivia Mogel. Eric's sister. Eric is played by Scott Michael Morales. Harold is played by Ray Munez. Gabriel, played by Gabe Navarro. Guy Patton is in it as the florist. Right, so we've got a couple of prostitutes. The first one played by Wilma Riviera. The second one we see is played by Jennifer Barnes. So the gist of the story is... where am I? The gist of the story is... here we go. Consumed by a horrific event in her past, a woman is driven to violent retribution and soon discovers that there can be no getting even. Her only ally, a meth-making genius who manipulates her for his own ends while she wages a vigilante campaign against a powerful drug lord and his thug army. A detective investigating a series of grisly homicides begins to uncover the truth about her and the role he himself played in her origins. But can he find her in time to stop the killing and to save her from herself? So yeah, that is the film. I say it's an odd one, right? Because this film actually came out in 2015. But it's on Prime. It came on Prime just a couple of weeks ago. But it lists it as a 2025 film. Which they've done that before. Right? They've done that a good few times. And it's so bizarre. I do not know. They'll list an old film by, any other film. Right? You go to something like American Beauty or Shawshank Redemption. And they'll have the actual date it was made and released. But then every now and again, they do this kind of thing, which is weird. So weird. Now, once you see the film is from 2015, it does make a bit more sense because the look of it, right? There's certain things that feel very dated. It's like we start off with, there's a woman obviously giving evidence or being interrogated in the police station, and we see a crime, like someone killing people, and then this woman who we learn is Pearl, right? So that's how it all starts, and she's after people, right? Because there's these teddy bears full of meth, and she's trying to track down who's behind it all, right? Which it doesn't really get explained why she's after these people, It just seems that she's after people doing bad things, because it's Pearl the assassin. But if you're an assassin, you've usually been hired by someone. It doesn't seem like she's been hired by anyone. That's another odd thing about this, is just like, okay, you're calling it Pearl the assassin. Is it Pearl the assassin or just Pearl the vigilante? It's peculiar. Now, she's using a priest to help her get weapons and stuff like that. And it's someone that, she grew up with, Daniel. It doesn't, you don't buy it, right? You don't buy that they know each other. The dialogue in this film is pretty bad. It doesn't ring true in any instance, right? Even when you introduce like Eric, it's meant to be this wisecracking meth and addict and scientist, like it always feels like very forced and odd. Like some of the things he says and the timing of it and everything like that. You're just like, wait, what? Even when you get to people like Trey, who, not very nuanced, but you're just like, well, he's a crime lord. He doesn't really have to be, necessarily, right? Obviously, it's always better when they are, but you could get away with him being generic. But even that feels like just the situation with him and his girlfriend, right? There's just so many odd things here, and you just wonder what was going on set. Like, what was the direction the actors were given, because are they giving bad performances due to bad direction and guidance, or is just this the pinnacle of the abilities, which, not everyone is meant to be an Academy Award winner, you know what I mean? Some people are just, you get in a lot of B movies and the like, right? Whatever makes the living, you know what I mean? But yeah, the film, like, we keep on getting these cutaways to this moment in Pearl's past, right? This flashback of all the events that took place. And it makes it super weird because at the very end of the film, we see her go to the spot of this crime, of this thing, which literally happened at least, I'd say, 20 years ago. But in the room is an item that was in the room in the flashbacks. And you're just like, why would that be there? Right? And we saying that this place is being, abandoned ever since? Because that's a long ass time for a thing, you know what I mean? Like when, rent is finding affordable places so hard to go. People will snap up a spot where people have been killed because you can get it cheaper. You know what I mean? So there's all these things here where you're just like, this is very bizarre. Like, just, there's bits where Pearl is picking up grown men and putting them in the trunk of her car. Doesn't seem that big, right? And she's not, knocking people out with punches. So you're kind of like, is she really able to move these people around? Right? Just the fight scenes are crazy. Because it's just like, in a fight, if someone's punching this little girl, she's going to get fucked up. We don't really show a lot of damage or anything. She's got a few plasters at the end, but it all just feels very strategic in placement. Especially things like blood spatter and just all of this. Yeah? I mean, even just getting to the place of how the fuck did she get her skill set? You know what I mean? Like, this bad thing happened to her, yes, but how did she get this skill set now? Right? The film does not really add up. And there's not really any little thing. Because usually when something is a bit ropey, right, you can go, hey, well, costume department killed it. Or, you know what I mean? Like, there was these great camera moments. I couldn't think of anything with this one. It just all felt a bit dire. All felt a bit dire, which is unfortunate, right? Because obviously no one sets out to do a bad film, I don't know if anyone in this has gone on to bigger and better things. Because, especially if it's one of your first early films, we can see improvement. We can see people grow. It's happened to so many people, right? Leonardo DiCaprio, Brad Pitt, George Clooney, all had ropey beginnings and all became very good. You know what I mean? So it might be that. I don't know. But Pearl the Assassin, not one of your, the greatest films you'll ever see. Kind of a bit like, there was that film, that sci-fi film we looked at last year, Aladdin 2037, I think it was, or 2437, something like that. But it was along the levels of badness of that film. Like, if you think of a lot of the things Vision put out, because, hey, don't get me wrong, they've had some great films, but they've also had some dire things, and it's one of those. It's along that kind of level. So if you want a BZ movie type, right, the kind of thing that you find on at 3 a.m. in the morning, right, on Sci-Fi Channel or one of those shitty channels, right, that is Pearl the Assassin. So if that's your kind of movie, then people have at it, have fun.